Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 24th of January, comes to you from London. And I'm sorry it's a little bit later than usual this morning. It's my birthday today, and I'm grateful for all the birthday wishes I've had from business contacts and followers on LinkedIn. It's been quite overwhelming. And if I haven't replied and said thank you, I apologize. It's just been a little bit surprising how many people wish me happy birthday. But life goes on as usual, and I'm looking at Dutch gas this morning. I did a post earlier on LinkedIn, and the question was, will Dutch gas fall below 50 euros? And it's really interesting looking at the chart because we had that €100 floor, we just fell below it and tested it. Then we came back up to around 150, and then we came back and tested 50. So these round numbers for Dutch gas price is really important for TTF front month. So 50, 100, 150. This 100 level was the floor, now likely to be the ceiling going forward. But the question was, will we fall through 50? And I guess the key thing is, before I do that, if we did fall through 50, where would we fall to? And you have to go quite a long way back into the chart. This would be an 18-month low. We'd have to go back and start to look at the low points back in 2021. But for the moment, that's key. Interestingly, also, the long-term trend, remembering this was the sort of base trend, has been broken. These spike highs that we saw, this was the spike high of the Ukraine war, but these spike highs before then, and really before there was any signs of a war, really are quite interesting. But the reality is we have broken that longer term trend, and we're now going to settle into a new price area, and it will be very much governed by how much where we see the price action actually settling. So that's going to be really important. Where does the price action settle? So let's have a look now at TTF in terms of that question. So this is the daily cloud. We turned bearish in September when we fell through that 200 level, then 150 confirming. We've had some resistance here on the 60-minute cloud at 68 in terms of this recovery. We're trying to get through the cloud, and then of course the low point where we did just nudge 50 or 51. So that's the key thing. Will we go below that? So what you have to do is you have to start looking at the targets. And in fact, what I'm going to do here is open a 1% chart just to see what the targets are there. And in fact, on Updata, you can just press Shift T, and you can see here that we've got this target of 72 and this other one, which I've talked about before, at 42. And so that is there as a target, and we just cannot ignore that 42. And if we go up to the 1x3, this is just a €1 chart. This 42 target was given all the way back at around 240. So it's been there for a long time, and so 42 is an area that we are potentially looking to long term. Now, because this chart has had so much movement in it, it is better to look at a log scale. And again, if we do the log scale chart, we've got targets potentially lower, 32, 23. So we have got targets to the downside, but the reality is there is no point looking at those bigger downside targets, because 42 is the first one that we would look to. And if we got to 42, we'd have new price action confirming that. Now, 42 is a target that we've got on the daily charts, but interestingly, when you get to the 0.5% daily chart, 51.68, we did get there sort of intraday. This is on the daily chart. So that 51.68 target was given when we were at around 65, and that was given and effectively met. This is just the daily close, so it doesn't show that intraday move there. And then if we look at the 60-minute chart, and here I'm looking at a 0.1% chart, we see here, and this is on the ICE contract call, we've got 55.82. So I might want to go up to another level just to see at the 0.25% chart, and we've got 55.98 as well. So it does look like we've got targets to the sort of mid-50s on the 60-minute chart. But for the traders amongst you, what you're really going to be watching are these 1-minute charts, and we've got 56.75, 57.40, and this is the 0.5 chart. So this is a 5-cent chart, and we can go up and down here. So this is a 10-cent chart, and we can see the tassel here. Neither of these are activated, and then if we go the other way, we start to just see the targets. And so for the moment, mid 50s. So we don't have anything telling us that we're going to go below 50 in the next few days. And that's the really key thing. Now, we might get new price action generating new targets, and that will give us a clearer picture. But for the moment, we're not. So in answer to the question, will we go below 50 euros? Potentially longer term, yes, 42 is a target. But in the very short term, we don't really have anything pointing below 50. So that's quite key. And there are potential targets. Of course, the 68 level, there's nothing above that at the moment. So it is downward pressure, and we are below the cloud still. Now, I've spent quite a lot of time on gas this morning, and for my other viewers who are not necessarily interested in energy prices, quite a lot of red on the screen this morning. Currency's falling slightly. The dollar's still sitting at 102. If we look at Bitcoin, we're sitting at 22,900 there, so we are just holding that level, that target to 22,000 past. We've got downside on the futures on the S&P future down 1/3% today, the Nasdaq future down 0.5%. So we are seeing stock markets in US and Europe potentially lower for the day. Asia actually was higher. We got Japan up 1.5%. The Hang Seng was up 2%. The Sensex in India also higher, coming very strongly in my poll. I've had over 1,300 votes in the poll of which market would go up strongest out of 4 markets, of which the Sensex was one. And this market is certainly winning with the upside targets. We've got a lot of votes there. Aussie market was looking pretty good too, up 0.5%. I noticed my Aussie stocks are all doing quite well in mining, uranium, etc. And if we look at gold is looking pretty strong at 1936. So that's just continuing to push to new highs. The targets here, again, if you're trading gold, go to the 1-minute charts. They're going to be really, really valuable to you. So last of all, we'll look at some of the energy mix again. We've got Brent crude, that's up this morning just slightly, did nudge 89, and we've got targets into the 90s there, so that's looking a bit better, but we might just see on the very short term 1-minute chart, we might just see a pullback. Looking at US nat gas, there's some talk about Freeport reopening, and that's having a little bit of upside. We did call gas higher first thing this morning. We've got upside targets, and we're above the 60-minute cloud, so our roadmap said yes there. Looking at EEX, looking at the carbon emissions, strong resistance there at 90 on the daily, and we're just seeing some new downside targets kicking in, and they're being met. So we had a little bit of a tussle going on here. Falling through that 84 level this morning was pretty key, and that's pushed us to the downside. And of course, we've talked about gas, MBP down 10% as well, so similar picture as TTF as well. And a look at German power. This is the EEX contract coming from Montel, and again, Updata you can run on multiple data servers, so it's the key thing is Updata is agnostic as to where the data comes from. It could be Trayport, Montel, Bloomberg, Icon, over 40 different data services that Updata is compatible with. But we see German power just rolling over, having not quite made it above the cloud, and some new downside targets there as well. Keep an eye on the 1-minute charts if you're trading German power, either on Trayport, on your OTC, or on EEX. And of course, we do provide data for every power and gas market in Europe on every contract, model data. So we can see here all of the European markets. We saw UK, France, and Italy actually bucking the trend a little bit yesterday and up. But of course, these short-term moves, still we've got these downside targets there. And if you go to just the UK, you can have this screen for any European market. Here are all the contracts there. So quite interesting that we are seeing that sell-off there. That's still happening. So that's it for today. Until tomorrow, hopefully I'll be a little bit on time tomorrow. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.